If your vocal cords were injured and you lost the ability to speak, what would you regret not saying to someone?
If I ever lost the ability to speak, I think the hardest part would be I think the hardest part would be not being able to tell the people I love how I feel about them. But I know there are other ways to express that. So maybe it wouldn't be such a difficult thing after all.
If you lost your hearing permanently, what would you most miss hearing and why?
If I were to lose my hearing permanently, I would most miss listening to music. If I wasn't a painter, I would be a printmaker. If I wasn't a printmaker, I would be a musician. And that's kind of my opinion about, that's my definition, you could say, of myself. I'm very much into music. It's something that I really appreciate and that I really admire, and that fascinates me enough to indulge myself in it, I suppose. I'm not in a band. I don't play any instruments anymore, but I would miss music tremendously if I could not hear anymore. Bob Marley said that the thing about music is when it hits you, you feel no pain. I think that's happened to me many times, and to miss that forever would be, that would be difficult.
How do you feel about depending on other people to help you out, and why?
I don't have a lot of people that help me a lot, believe it or not, like especially with money. I haven't borrowed money in years from my parents, and physically, and I don't know. I try not to bother people, basically. Last year I had a back injury while exercising, and I pretty much didn't tell anybody that my back was hurting, and I literally needed help out of bed, but I was too, I don't know, I just didn't want to bother my girlfriend. She's a sleeper, so I try to do as little as possible to depend on other people. But I like helping people at the same time, and I don't expect anything really much in return. I'll help strangers when and if I can.
If you became blind for life, what would you most miss seeing and why?
I think what I would most miss seeing was fog. Probably kind of an odd answer. I really like fog and like the mystery that comes with it. So I always feel like I've stepped into some kind of like 1920s murder mystery novel whenever the fog rolls in. And it just has this otherworldness about it. It's just, you really can't capture it any way else. Like people's faces, their faces, hell, you can probably just feel their faces. But yeah, fog, because you can't really touch it, and it always changes shape and form, and it's just something special.
How do you think you'd react if you became disabled and had to use a wheelchair for the rest of your life?
I think my reaction would be very severe and very angry at first. And I think it would be a really difficult time for at least a few years adjusting to that. But knowing myself and the things that I've been through and been able to bounce back from, I think eventually it would just become like this challenge to be like, okay, fuck you, I'm gonna take over the world even though I'm in this wheelchair. And I would just let it empower me even more, I guess.
If your vocal cords were injured and you lost the ability to speak, what would you regret not saying to someone?
This question kind of hits pretty hard right now. Things are pretty rough at home, and we're going through some tough times. So we've been fighting a lot, and if I couldn't speak, I could always write it down. But it's totally different to read that someone's sorry than to hear the sincerity in their voice. So I would definitely regret not apologizing just for all the little things and some of the really big things that we're having problems with.
If you lost your hearing permanently, what would you most miss hearing and why?
If I lost my hearing, I kind of answered this in the last question actually. If I missed my hearing, what I would miss most about this is probably being able to listen to music. It's been a big part of my life. I've been playing guitar since the 7th grade, and I mean, the first things I remember learning to do was singing to my parents' record albums like Genesis and the Cars and stuff. So like, this is something that's been embedded in my life since I was a kid, and I mean, I haven't looked back since, really. If that was taken away from me, it would be really hard, because music is one of the ways that I personally communicate most, and if that was taken away, I'd like to think that I'd still be able to make music, even though I wouldn't be able to know how it sounds. I'd still attempt to try. But as far as listening to other artists, hearing what they have to say, and listening to beautiful compositions, I've been on a big Arvo Par kick right now, so if I wouldn't be able to hear that, it would be devastating.
How do you feel about depending on other people to help you out, and why?
I feel very good about having other people help me out. I think that we live in a highly social world, and that really we always depend on people to help us out, and that all of our actions, everything that we do, is overdetermined by other people. For instance, like going on a walk by yourself, really there's a whole like set of social constructs around walking. There's a sidewalk, there's the shoes that you wear, the clothes that you're wearing, and those were all made by other people. And so even in moments that we feel like we're highly individual or highly individualized, we are depending on social structures in order to exist. And I think that in moments where we're more explicit about that, when we ask people for help, and when we just say, you know, I need your help, or let me help you, or vice versa, any way that happens, I think that that's already recognizing a social fact, that we depend on other people, and that's a good thing.
How do you think you'd react if you became disabled and had to use a wheelchair for the rest of your life?
How would I react?
would be very sad, very sad, not being able to, excuse me, I have something in my throat. I would be, I would really miss being able to walk and run and ride a bike. And I think those are things that I take for granted every day, and I think I would regret not doing those things more often. I would regret not being able to run more than 3 miles, because I can't run over 3 miles right now. I would regret not walking on a trail more often. I would regret all of those things.
If you became blind for life, what would you most miss seeing and why?
Probably miss seeing everything. If I was blind, if I became blind, I would probably miss seeing everything. I don't know anything specifically. But I guess. What am I missing? I guess I'm missing my mom.